Oh man, it's Jeff Merrick one more time, folks, opening up Pandora's box with the idea of an Oilers and Bruins trade. Is it Jeremy Swayman? Nah, man, that's not what we're talking about today. I will put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video, though. This tweet was published earlier yesterday at 7:15 p.m. I'm recording this audio literally like an hour after this tweet came out. It's Wednesday night right now, and this video will be published on YouTube tomorrow morning. So that means if there actually is some sort of a move involving these teams, involving the player that Merrick goes out there and talks about, then we're going to have to do some correcting when I wake up tomorrow morning. But for now, let's go over Jeff Merrick's latest scoop on the Sheet podcast, talking about how there apparently is another Artur Sheilov situation happening in the NHL, in Boston, with Michael DiPietro. He says, I just wanted to lob that out there for Oilers fans. You might not have gotten your Artur Sheilovs, but you may get a Michael DiPietro. Okay. Now, the top reply goes out there and says, hey, this would actually make a lot of sense for both sides. The Bruins need to build the future, and the Oilers need a 1A. DiPietro was fantastic this year, and has a lot of promise. Now, here's the thing about Michael DiPietro. Firstly, I wanted to say, I didn't realize this about DiPietro, but the man has style. You can see it a little bit on this picture right here. The gear that Mikey DiPietro has been wearing for the Providence Bruins in the AHL is so cool. He's got lightning bolts, zigzags on his pads and his blocker. It's just such a cool getup. Michael DiPietro has always had style, and the reason I say always is because I am kind of familiar with this dude. 26 years old, 6'1", 207, left-handed catching goaltender, drafted by the Vancouver Canucks in the 2017 NHL Entry Draft, 64th overall. This was a pretty important NHL draft for Vancouver, because not only did you get yourself some really interesting prospects in the later rounds, like Michael DiPietro, like Cole Lind, like Jonah Gadjevich, but you also had Elias Pettersson taken at the top of the draft. 5th overall selection here, this 2017-18 season. Well, okay, the draft was at the end of the 16-17 year, but 17 is the first draft that we started to make videos about the prospects consistently, so there's a very sentimental place in my heart when we talk about DiPietro and Rathbone and Petrus Palmu and Gadjevich and Lind, and of course, Elias Pettersson. 17-18 was my senior year in high school. That was the first year where I started to fully do Canucks-related content. So, while this isn't really a Canucks-related video, it's talking about the Bruins and the Oilers, we gotta give the scoop here. So, when Sheilovs was in the AHL this most previous campaign, he was really good. He won the Calder Cup Championship, .931 save percentage in 24 games played. That run was so outstanding that it boosted his stock into being able to give the Canucks a 4th-round pick and a former first-round prospect. That is what Merrick is referring to when he says that there is another Sheilov situation in the National Hockey League. Guess what? Michael DiPietro, who is a little bit older than Sheilov's, has just had a tremendous season in the Providence Bruins with the AHL squad. Now, I will say, Michael DiPietro's development has been all over the place, not only because he had one NHL game played with the Vancouver Canucks that absolutely stunk. He had a .750 goals against average and an .857 save percentage in 2019-20. In 2018-19, guess what? He also had a 7 goals against average and a .708 save percentage over there. 5-6 years ago, when Michael DiPietro was getting small cups of coffee with Vancouver, the guy just wasn't good. And inevitably, he found himself out of the Canucks organization. He had a really bad year in 2020, 2021 over here. 0 games played with the Vancouver team, 4 games played with the Utica team. He had pretty good numbers, but the reason he had so few games played, it wasn't because of injury, it was because he was included on the Vancouver Canucks list of Black Aces during the shutdown North Division year. And when the Canucks had Braden Holtby and Thatcher Demko in Canada, because, there was an entire COVID shutdown at the border going on, you couldn't really go up and down, especially between NHL and AHL teams. The league was in such a different spot in that time frame, and Michael DiPietro suffered because of it. He wasn't able to get any reps, he wasn't able to get any playing time, and it changed a little bit the next season when Abbotsford became Vancouver's AHL affiliate, but DiPietro had 34 games and a .901 save percentage there. It wasn't really great. He then went over to the Boston Bruins organization, played mostly in the ECHL in 22-23, and then worked his way up to having a .927 save percentage in 40 games this season with the Bees, the Baby Bees that is, and a .928 save percentage in 7 games in the playoffs, 185 goals against as well. Michael DiPietro is a good AHL goalie. But the thing is, when you head over to Boston and their situation, you take a look at the depth chart for netminders in the Bees organization. Obviously, you have Jeremy Swayman. I think the kind of status quo of him is that he is still going to be the starter. I don't think anybody's necessarily saying that he has been dethroned. He had a really bad season this most recent year, but you're paying him $8.25 million a year till 2030. You kind of have no choice but to still believe that the really good elite Vezina caliber Swayman exists in there. And then Jonas Korpisalo is here till the end of 2028, making $3 million. Very similar situation to Vancouver, where Thatcher Demko and Kevin Lankinen are making significant money for the next few years, and it becomes harder for an AHL guy who is super good, like a Shilovs, like a DiPietro, to break in and become a full-time backup. You head over to the AHL and non-roster goaltenders that the Boston Bruins have. You have a bunch of younger dudes, too. Simon Zasicek and Michael DiPietro are over here, not to mention Luke Kavalin. There are a bunch of guys who are in their 24s-ish territory, and DiPietro is 26, so obviously you can say that he could be aging out of the youth movement here in Boston. But ultimately, I feel if Michael DiPietro inevitably ends up getting traded in the way that Jeff Marek is suggesting here, it's going to be not really for a super high price. Maybe the Bruins get a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick or something. DiPietro does not have the same body of work in the NHL that Artur Shilovs had. And I know we have been talking all this talk about how Shilovs was literally like the worst save percentage goalie in the NHL the most recent season. 861 save percentage is absolutely terrible. But because of the playoffs in the Calder Cup, in the AHL, and the second half of Shilovs' year, you can say that was a really big determining factor as to why teams were super high up on this guy. Plus, the fact that he did get 5 wins in the NHL playoffs last year for Vancouver, including a shutout to eliminate the Predators in Game 6. That is going to stay. Everybody knows Shilovs has big game potential, that he steps up to play when the games matter the most. His Team Latvia World Championship showcase to get the bronze medal was also very, very impressive. This guy shows up when the games mean the most. And as long as he's able to solve those long-range puck-tracking issues, he should be a very big gamer for Pittsburgh. Michael DiPietro doesn't have that same oomph to his profile in the same way Shilovs does. So I don't see him getting a 4th-round pick and a former 1st-round prospect in a trade. Maybe a 5th is okay, maybe a 6th, but Jeff Marek is going out there and suggesting it could be Edmonton. So Oilers fans, if it's not Shilovs, it's DiPietro instead. I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this assessment that Michael DiPietro is on the market, that Michael DiPietro is the same situation as Artur Shilovs, and that your team could be the next destination for Michael DiPietro over here? Oilers fans, Bruins fans, let me know in the comment section all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 and bye.